Greetings everyone, and I hope you're all fit and well out there in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Virtual Toys' take on Cloud Strife from the Final Fantasy VII Remake video game. The review will take the usual format. We'll have a quick look at the box, then it'll be down onto the table for a look at all the accessories that come with the figure, then it will be out with the unreliable narrator himself for a close-up look, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we dive into it, shout outs and background. Firstly, a massive thank you, as always, to all of you subscribers out there. You are stars, each and every one of you, and the support you've shown. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. And to those of you watching but not subscribing, come on, take a jump into the deep end. The water's fine, and it's cost and pain free, and you'll be helping us to keep doing what we're doing here at Go Figure. And you can also bask in the warmth that comes from the knowledge that you supported an old man in his collecting dotage. Oh, and I nearly forgot, a massive thank you to William Wang over at One Man's Hobby for sorting this figure out for me and sourcing it. If it's anything 1/6 scale, quarter scale you're after, or maybe that figure that got away, that one that you've always been after, check out his website. There'll be a link in the description below. So, background. I've been a gamer since I was old enough to hold a control pad, and everyone thought I would grow out of it, including me. But no, it just got worse, and so I'm an aging gamer, old enough to remember the Commodore 64, but not too old to still lose a day to the latest release. And hands up, I only got into Final Fantasy after seeing Advent Children, so I had a lot of catching up to do, but now I am a confirmed fan. I'm no expert, but a fan. But that's enough of my gaming nostalgia. Let's have a look at this box. And a big box it is too. Can barely fit this whole thing in shot. It seems that recently all the 6 scale figures are coming in oversized boxes, but it is what it is. So let's stop it from spinning and take a close-up look. This is the first Virtual Toys, I think, in the collection, if memory serves me correctly. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the box. We'll spin it round. So it's a relatively straightforward box. It's a really strong, solid, thick card. Sizable, as you can see. Shoebox design. What you've got on the front here is this sort of, how can I describe it? This sort of green hexagonal pattern that is continued all the way around the box. Then you've got the Final Fantasy logo here, but without the actual lettering itself. They put Cloud Strife over this. Reason for that, this is an unlicensed figure. So yeah, no license involved here, so you won't see Final Fantasy printed on this box anywhere at all. But yeah, at the bottom, very, very small lettering, it says Virtual Toys, 1/6 scale action figure across the top. On the sides, it's just a continuation of that rather nice high gloss hexagonal pattern, which I believe is the same on this side. Yeah, and I'm pretty certain there's nothing on the top or the bottom of this. No, it's pretty much just a continuation of that design. Let's check the top without dropping this hefty box, and it's got some weight to it, I might add as well. Probably worth mentioning at this point as well, before we check the back out, this isn't a brand new figure. It's come to be pre-owned from Mr. Wang, but his pre-owned figures I have bought a lot of, and they are of exceptional quality. But we'll check out what we're dealing with when we open up the box. So it's a voyage of discovery for all of us. It's literally just arrived, this box, and gone straight in front of the camera. So let's check the back of the box out and wrap this whole thing up. Yeah, very simple on the back, a slightly different rendition of that hexagonal pattern. You've got the warnings here, the usual credits and warnings at the bottom. Yeah, don't piss this figure off, or you might find yourself on the wrong end of a Buster Sword. So yeah, there you have it. That's the huge box that your Virtual Toys Cloud Strife comes into. So without further ado, let's dive down onto the table and have a look at all the accessories that come with the figure. Okay, so here we are, down on the table with all the accessories that come with your Cloud Strife figure. And there's a hell of a lot of it too. Fair to point out at this stage as well, there are two versions of this figure. There's the standard edition, which comes with just the normal base with crotch grabber, and then there's the deluxe edition, which is this one, which comes with this rather wonderful diorama base, which we'll take a look at as well. A lot of these accessories are actually part of the diorama base, so maybe not technically accessories, but we'll look at all of the bits and pieces while we're down on the table. We'll start with the hands, as we always do. You know me and my hand thing. There's a pair of hands already on the figure itself. We've got another 5 here, so you've got a total of 7 hands. Odd number, I know, but it is what it is. The hands are asymmetrical, which is in keeping with the game. One set have this long glove on, the other set slightly shorter glove with the metallic fingers, but we'll take a look at one of these long gloved hands first. And the sculpt looks pretty nice. The paint applications look good. The gloves have been sculpted well with these strips on the back. There are seams in there. There's some creasing on there. The paint applications are nice to give it that brown leather look, which is once again video game accurate, screen accurate. And it's also got these wristbands. Once again, these are all sculpted plastic. They don't move on the glove itself, but there's nice paint applications on there to give that metallic feel. And those bolts are well sculpted, and the threads on those bolts look really good too. So yeah, overall, very well painted, very well sculpted, and screen accurate. So that's one of the long gloved hands. Let's take a look at the other type of hand. Now, this is slightly different in as much as it's got the metallic fingers. Now, they're done really, really well, actually. The paint applications on there are pretty good. There's some silver on there, some dry brushing on top of the silver to give that metallic look. The creasing and the paint applications for the leather are good. And you've got these studs on the back, once again, which are painted in that silver paint to give it that metallic look. So overall, yeah, great sculpt, great paint applications, and we're off to a good start here. So there's one gripping hand with the metallic fingers. There is another, I believe, open palmed metallic fingered hand, which is still on the figure, which you'll take a look at when we bring it out. Worthy of note here as well is you do get a couple of spare wrist pegs. Two different types though. There's a shorter wrist peg for the shorter hand. Well, say shorter hand, the metallic fingered hand, the one with the shorter gloves, and the longer wrist peg, which is designed for, and I think there's one already in here, yeah, as you can see here, which is designed for these longer gloved hands, simply because of the reach you need because of this cuff area for it to be pegged into the arm. But yeah, good to see that they've the VTS have provided us with some spares just in case. So yeah, that's the hands. Let's put those to one side and make some room here, I think, because we're going to need some space. Let's take a look at the sword next. Let's take a look at the Buster sword. Now, this is very, very nicely done. Absolutely huge, which is in keeping with the sword in the video game. All one piece of sculpted plastic, just very, very nicely done. It's really the sculpt's on point, absolutely accurate, as are the proportions. But what really I think really makes this sword stand out are the paint applications on here. Hope the camera's picking this up. You've got the two tonal effect of the lighter grey of the blade, then the body of the sword itself in this darker grey. And they've really gone to town with the dry brushing to give it that slightly battered and used feel. Different types of weathering on here as well. There's a dirtying up, if the camera's catching this. I'll try and angle this so the camera picks it up. Some like swirls of brown to give it that dirty effect. And then underneath that, you've got these striations of wear as well. Just very, very well painted, this. Yeah, and that's continued on both sides. It's quite sharp, so if you're picking this figure up, exercise caution. We don't want any injuries out there. But yeah, the hilt itself, very, very nicely painted and dry brushed to give it that weathered look. Yeah, the hilt of the sword as well is nicely painted to give it that red material type feel, almost like leather. But yeah, nicely painted, nicely sculpted, and very well done there from VTS. So we'll put the Buster to one side. What else do you get? I think everything else pretty much revolves around the base. Before we do that, actually, we've got to mention you get these materia crystals that can actually go into the sword itself. The eagle-eyed amongst you probably noticed these two holes in the Buster sword. And the materia here can actually be put into these holes here. Not tried it yet. We'll do that in between takes before we go over to the showcase. But yeah, and there's also a plug-in here. I've not opened this up because, as viewers to my channel will know, I have sausage fingers. If I open this bag up, they're going to go rolling off everywhere, and I'll never be able to pick them up. But yeah, there's also this plug as well. If you wanted to plug up one of these holes, and just put one crystal in. You can do that as well. So yeah, that's an option. So we'll put the crystals to one side. Also, as well, while we're on the materia, we also get a smaller bag of materia as well. I'm not sure what those are for. Maybe they're for decoration on the diorama base. Not 100% certain. If there's anybody out there who knows, please drop a comment in the comment section below. What are the smaller materia for? But yeah, we'll put those to one side as well, along with the Buster sword. And pretty much everything else is part of the diorama base. We'll start with the Cactar first, though. We'll get him out of the way. Now, players of the game will recognise this guy, the almost two-dimensional cactus who spends most of his time running around. Yeah, very nicely done. This is, and the way they've sculpted this is it gives it that 2D look which it has in the game itself. But yeah. You've got the expression nicely sculpted into the face there with the black paint applications. It's all one piece of sculpted plastic. It's got this green colour to it with some washes in there in the crevices to give it that depth and that shading. It's even got his spines on top, which are made out of a softer, slightly rubberier. Oh God, I'm making up words. A softer plastic, let's say, on the top there to sort of denote the spines. But yeah, really nicely painted, really nicely sculpted, well, screen accurate. And it comes with this little stand to make him look like he's in motion, this little sort of puff of smoke, shall we say. And I believe that there's a little peg on the bottom here that you literally just balance him on that peg like that, and there you have him tearing off into the sunset. And creating a little plume of smoke behind him as well. So yeah, nice little addition that is, and a nice little companion piece to have either on the base or next to the base when you've constructed it. So that's Cactar. Let's put him out of the way. What else do you get? Oh yeah, probably the smallest accessory here, bar the materia, is this little flower that Aerith gives to Cloud in the game. And just very nicely done it is too. All one piece of plastic. Some nice vibrant paint applications on there, some yellows, some oranges, and just a nice little touch. So if you wanted to use it in the display, have him holding it, or just scattered somewhere on the base, you can do that as well. So nice inclusion there from Virtual Toys. Nice little flower. So we'll put that to one side. And finally, the base itself. Let's take a look at the actual the main body of the base before we put this thing together. This has got some real heft to it. The box is very, very heavy, and this is probably the main cause of that. So what are we looking at here? Right, well, we'll start at underneath, as we always do. Not much in the way of anything on the bottom here, and this section is all plastic. There's no feet on this, so as always, on the side of caution, if you're displaying this on a glass shelf, it may move around. So it would have perhaps been nice to see some foam or felt feet on the bottom of there, but it is what it is. As I say, this bottom section here is plastic, and if you come round to the front, you've got the Final Fantasy logo there. Obviously, I'm assuming this once again is down to copyright issues, and this being a third-party figure. There's no Final Fantasy VII Remake on there or Cloud Strife name, but it does have the logo itself, and I think that is plastic. It feels like plastic, but it's nicely done. And everything above this plastic section feels like polystone to me. It's really, really heavy. Resin, polystone. I'm going to go with polystone simply because of the sheer weight of this thing. But what you've got here is a sort of a replication of the Make a Reactor base that you get in the game itself. And I think there's 8 in the game, maybe more. It's been a while since I've played it, but I will revisit it. Although I have looked at some stills, and yeah, I think it's pretty much a Mecha Reactor base. But they've done a really, really good job here. If I can get this into shot, and you can have a look underneath here at the detailing here. They've sculpted in some fantastic detailing with some silver dry brushing, just to give it that sort of mechanical, industrial mechanical feel. Perhaps some of the paint applications in there aren't the best I've ever seen on those pipes. I'm not sure if the camera's catching this, but it's been painted after the fact, and the paint hasn't gone all the way into the crevices there, or all the way down to the top and the bottom. So there is some silver dry brushing on this layered effect, which really helps. But yeah, bar those slight issues with the silver paint application on those pipes, on the whole, that is really well done. Very well done indeed. On the top, obviously, we've got a duplication, shall we say, of the reactor itself. Once again, you've got this sort of, and this isn't a flat surface. These silver sections are raised on the top here. Paint applications, perhaps not brilliant. I would say that's probably the one thing that lets this base down, is the accuracy of the silver paint applications in places. But overall, it's not bad. And what you've got on the top here sculpted in, there are sort of bits of paper, there's odds and sods lying around. You've got a raised section at the back here, once again with silver pipes in there. And once again, it continues with that silver dry brushing to give it that sort of... to pick out the details and just make it pop a little bit more. But on the whole, yeah, really nicely done. And it's certainly got a lot of weight to it. So let's have a look at the pieces that attach to this thing and how it constructs. You've got this, we'll start with these actually. I'm trying to remember how to do this in order, but we'll start with this section. They've got these two vents, which are, now I believe that it feels like the bottom is polystone or metal. I think it's polystone, the bottom here, with an inset magnet. All these pieces are magnetized to attach the base, which is an absolutely brilliant touch from Virtual Toys there. There's no snap-in section. There's nothing... well, I'm not going to say nothing worse, but I do sometimes get a little annoyed with certain manufacturers and their diorama bases, shall we say, are still using these snap-in plastic attachments for building the diorama base that never fit properly, that wobble, that are a nightmare to get in and a nightmare to get out. It's really nice to see VTS have gone down the magnet route. But yeah, you've got these two vents, plastic on the top of polystone with a magnet in there, nice paint applications, and I believe they just simply sit there and, as I mentioned before, magnetized. So once they're in, they're not coming off in a hurry. What else? You get these crates. There's two of these. Now they're all made out of, now I'm going to go with plastic here. Chance my arm. It feels like plastic. It feels like a thick plastic. It could be a hollow polystone. I'm not 100% certain. But the paint applications are really nice. You've got these graphic details on here, on the sides of these crates, and yeah, with pegs on the bottom. Once again magnetized, and you just match up the shapes on the bottom here, and they really do. These magnets are incredibly solid. That one goes there. Actually, I think I need to put that one in first, and that one goes behind like that. What else? Yeah, trash bags. Now, once again, can't tell whether these feel actually like these are polystone as well, which is really nice to see. But yeah, 3 trash bags, given this high gloss paint application to make them look like plastic, and there's a spot for them just there on the base, so they slot in. You get this. Now this is a hefty piece, this one. Now this is the sort of screen monitor section as well. Once again, I think this is a combination of polystone and plastic. It's got some real heft to it and weight to it. This section at the front here is most certainly plastic, and I think the body of this is cold to the touch, so I'm assuming it's polystone. But yeah, the screen is really nicely done. This looks like it's a sticker, possibly. No, it looks like it's been, yeah, if the light's catching this right, it looks like it's been painted black and then they've used some kind of decal on top of there. But yeah, you've got the buttons picked out in different colours there. Not much in the way of paint applications on here. You've got some green on this grey plastic section. There's a little bit of dry brushing on these silver parts. But on the whole, yeah, it's a very solid piece, and it's got some heft to it, and that just magnetizes to the back there. There's I'll take it off there. There's a section at the bottom there, as you can see. Get this into shot. 2 magnets, and they simply clip in. And the great thing about this base is you can take bits off to your heart's content. If you're not happy with or you want some more space, you can literally just take pieces off and muck about with this thing to get the look that you want, which is great to see. So, and finally there is a pipe. Relatively straightforward, grey pipe with some green paint applications on the end there to simulate the vents, but yeah, and I believe that just magnetizes into the back there like that. So there you have it. That is the rather amazing diorama base that comes with this figure, and very nice it is too. Once it's constructed, it's got some real weight to it, but it's incredibly secure, incredibly well sculpted. Maybe those silver paint applications could be slightly better, but I think I'm nitpicking here. I think they've done a fantastic job. So, without further ado, let's bring out Cloud Strife himself. Let's get him onto the stand if the turntable can take the weight, and have an up close look at Cloud himself. Okay, so here he is. It's Cloud Strife himself, straight out of the box, straight onto the turntable. Not onto the stand, as the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed. A couple of reasons for that. Number one, I don't think that this little turntable will be able to take the full weight of that stand. Number two, when he's on that stand, getting the whole thing in shot is not the easiest thing in the world. And number three, did notice a slight issue with Cloud's feet, which we'll come to when we have a look through the figure up close, which sort of. I'm going to put down to age on this one. The fact that this figure is pre-owned, as I mentioned at the top as well. But yeah, we'll get to that when we get him up close and into shot for a closer look. First impressions are very, very good indeed. The proportions look right to me. The outfit looks absolutely spot on, nailed on completely, because it was a slightly different colour. There's this deep blue outfit that he's wearing in this one, and it does alter in colour, you know, dependent upon film or game that you've got in front of you. But most certainly in the Final Fantasy VII remake, it was this deep blue, which is great to see. The seamless arms look absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad they've gone down that route. But yeah, overall, first impressions are very, very good. So let's do what we always do. Let's stop him from turning, get him off the turntable and into shot. So we can have a close-up look at this guy. Now, I mean, we mentioned proportions before, and I think it's fair to mention at this point, if we can stop this turntable from rotating in the background, that Cloud Strife himself, and I'm going to have to hold him at some distance to get him all in shot here, because it is bigger than your average 6-scale figure. We'll bring out another figure just to for some comparison before the end of this review, just to give you an idea of the scale on this guy. He is bigger than as I mentioned, the average 6-scale figure, but there is a reason for that. Those who are aware of this character, know that he's got rather unusual proportions. To get him in line with normal 6-scale figures, shall we say, would have caused issues, I think, for Virtual Toys, which it would have been reducing the size of the head sculpt, reducing other parts of the body as well, which would have meant alongside a 6-scale figure, it would have looked wrong. And it also would have made the overall proportions of the figure look wrong. So I think what they've had to do here is compromise, and I think they've compromised really, really well. They have kept the original proportions of Cloud, which are these incredibly long legs. I mean, literally, his legs take up almost 2/3 to 3/4 of his entire body. But they've kept the integrity of the screen accuracy, which I'm glad to see. I would rather have a figure that is maybe slightly off scale with other 6-scale figures, but in keeping and in proportion with the actual source material itself. But that's enough me rambling about this guy's unusual physique. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. Let's take a look at these boots. Now, these boots are pegged straight into the ankles, and herein lies a little bit of the problem, I think, with the stability of this character. I think because of the sheer weight of this body, over time, these have become quite loose, because there's a lot of play in these because they're on a ball joint. So you've got a lot of movement in here, and I think maybe they've become a little bit loose over time. They feel a tad on the loose side. I think maybe I'm going to have to come up with some kind of solution to this. But it's not an issue. There are ways around this of actually making these joints tighter again, which I will be looking into at the end of this review. So the boots themselves, yeah, they're really, really nicely sculpted. They're screen accurate. They've got that look of leather about them, which is really nice to see. There's some dry brushing on there to give them some weathering. The sculpting's been stitched in. They're all one piece of sculpted plastic. There's a nice sole on there as well. No weathering on there on the sole. You've got this zip that's been sculpted in and painted silver. Let's bring him around the back. Yeah, and once again, the level of sculpt and dry brushing on there to give it that leather look is continued. And there's a fade on the heel there, if you can see that, which is really nice. So overall, yeah, apart from that looseness, which I am going to put down to age, and I'm going to have to try and balance this figure to keep it in shot. It's not the easiest figure to film. But yeah, apart from that looseness, as I mentioned there, which we can look at, those feet are really well done. As I say, pegged straight into the exceptionally long legs, and then what you've got is this, what feels like... it feels like a brushed cotton material to replicate these baggy pants, which then drop over the top of the boots. Very nicely done, screen accurate again, as far as I can see. Nice stitching in the sides here. I'm just going to bring in a little bit more light at this point so we can see this in all its glory. Yeah, very nice stitch work, as I mentioned. Nice stitch work around those pockets. You know me and my OCD around 6-scale stitch work. It bears repeating that if it's not done right, it can throw a figure out completely. You've got some pockets on the back here. They're not functional. At the top, I'll try and get this right into shot. At the top here, you've got two what feel like pleather belts, two independent pleather belts with possibly, yeah, I feel like metal buckles on there, which is nice to see. I am assuming these belts are actually, they might not be pleather. No, I think these are plastic. Well, that's really good to see. Yeah, I would rather see plastic than pleather, and they feel like plastic to me. So yeah, and they're looped all the way around these really high-waisted long pants. The vest underneath, now that feels like a cotton type material, a ribbed cotton material. It's very nicely done. It's scaled down really well to 6 scale with a high collar, which is screen accurate. That feels like that's actually glued down, that collar, which is good to see, so you're not going to get too much movement going on there. Now this whole harness section around his midriff and over his shoulders is once again is sculpted plastic. I do prefer that. The less I see pleather in my life, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It's a bit of a dust magnet, as with most dark cotton suited figures, but so a little bit of cleaning is going to be required on a regular basis, I think. But yeah, the paint applications on that strap section are really good to simulate what looks like leather. You've got this sort of sculpted in emblem in the center here. The silver sections of the harness have been picked out nicely with silver paint. Moving around to the back, that's continued around the back with this plastic section in the center there. And attached to that harness is the shoulder pad. Now that shoulder pad is, and once again I'll try and get this back into shot, that shoulder pad itself, as I say, is all part of the of that harness, I believe. Oh, it's actually, yeah, there's a clip underneath there if the camera's catching this, where it's attached to the harness. It's got some movement, which is good to see. So when you're moving these arms around, and these arms are on a ball joint, so when you're moving those arms around, you've got some play in the shoulder pad. And the shoulder pad itself, really well sculpted to give it that metal look, with this blue and black paint applications. Those bolts coming through are painted silver and give it that really good metallic look, and the details are picked out in silver as well. Take it around the back, and that paint applications continue around the back as well. So yeah, done really well here, I think, VTS Toys on this one. As I mentioned, seamless arms, great to see. Now this is the plastic in the seamless arms. It doesn't, how can I put this? It's not. Those are familiar with, let's say, TB League, Fison, and Hot Toys seamless bodies. It's not that same rubber silicone. This is more of a harder plastic that they've used here, which feels to me like it would be tougher over time on the joints here. So if you've got it in a dynamic pose, and it's just a feeling I've got, but I think this would actually last longer. But I'd be interested to hear, has anybody out there got this figure, had problems with the joints or anything like that when they're posing this figure? Fascinated to find out, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. The paint applications on these seamless arms are nice as well. It's quite subtle, but they've picked out some vein work, some of the bone structure, and there's a sort of, how can I describe this, a pinky red hue around these, I might say joins in the skin, but these folds in the skin which accentuate the muscularity. So yeah, very nicely done. Moving down the arms, you've got these sort of leather extenders. Now, I am not sure whether the contrast between the colour of the glove and the colour of this sort of forearm protector is right. If my memory serves me correctly, in the game they were all one colour, but I could be wrong. But yeah, then your hand pegs straight onto there, and this is sort of free floating. This leather section, this material section, which is, I think it's actually plastic, over the top, and the hand's just pegged straight on. On the other side, you've got a slightly more convoluted affair, and what looks like there may be some paper actually underneath there. I think that may have been put on by the previous owner, but I think this is for when you take the hand out, and we'll pop that off. That's one of the long pegs that we were talking about. These sections are actually free floating, these two plastic sections, and they come off. And the paint applications on there, I'll try and get this into shot, are really, really nice. If I can get the camera to focus. Yeah, there's some weathering on there and some dry brushing, etc. But yeah, you've got these sort of free floating, they do feel like they could be pleather, but that actually comes off. And I don't know whether that was initially there to start with. I think that may have been put in by the previous owner, but I can see why that's been done. That's been done just to keep this section secure on the arm itself, and probably to prevent any scratching of these sections that slot on. But yeah, we'll leave that off for the time being. At the top of the arm on the bicep there, you've got this sort of rag effect cloth tied round, which is just material and is held on by friction. And finally, let's get to this head sculpt. Let's have an up close with this head sculpt. Now, it's not a fixed neck head sculpt. It's actually attached on a ball joint, and there's only the one head sculpt with this. But I mean, the fact that it's attached by a ball joint is fine, because really that join line isn't visible underneath the hairline. So yeah, you've got a decent range of articulation in there. This hair is quite sharp on top, but you go from a harder plastic to a softer plastic around the edges here, which is great to see. So that's going to minimize any damage to the outfit and the neck itself. But there's a certain amount of movement in there. The hair is really, really well done, really screen accurate as far as I can tell. The color is right. They picked out individual strands in there. It's got that super stylized look with these spikes. I would say be careful here. Some of these spikes are quite sharp. We'll take a look around the back. Yeah, and the back's screen accurate as well, with almost that sort of windswept section coming into a point at the back of the head. So overall, hair really good, really screen accurate, as is the sculpt on the face as far as I can tell. Now, I know there's been some consternation, shall we say, about this head sculpt. I've heard comments from people saying it looks more like a cosplayer, it may be, it looks more female than male, all kinds of different things. But to me, having played the game, this looks pretty much spot on. And Cloud has a tendency to change his hair colour, his hairstyle, his clothing style. Even sometimes his features are changed from between films and games. But and I've heard some people say this sculpt is too soft, but I don't think it is. I think it's pretty much on point. The eyes are the right colour, the paint applications on the face are very good, and that earring as well, that little detail of the earring, or the ear stud, are very well done. So yeah, overall, pretty impressive. Let's just put this arm section back together again, so we can get him back onto the stand for final thoughts on this piece. And yeah, let's put this. Construct this whole thing. So talk amongst yourselves while I'm putting his arm back together. It may take a few seconds, and there we go. That's his arm reconstructed, and let's pop him back on there. And this is where the issue with the feet really does come into play. We'll cut to while I'm fiddling around with this. Actually, what we'll do we'll cut to him on the diorama base itself before we move over to the showcase at the end, just to give you an impression of how that diorama works with the figure. So yeah, let's cut to the diorama. Okay, so here he is. It's Cloud Strife onto the diorama base. And putting this thing together did throw up a few issues, but we'll cover those in the final thoughts, which are going to happen now. So, final thoughts on this piece from Virtual Toys. Well, yeah, the plus side, that diorama base. The diorama base is absolutely fantastic. The detailing, maybe the paint applications could be slightly better, but overall, the materials used, the screen accuracy in the base is fantastic. The fact that you've got magnetic pieces rather than snap-in pieces is great to see. The fact that you can remove certain parts to create the look that you want is absolutely phenomenal. So overall, that base is a massive, massive thumbs up. The figure itself, the screen accuracy is there, the presence is there, the quality of the materials is good. The head sculpt is on point as far as I can see. Overall, yeah, bar a few minor niggles, and those niggles mostly came out of setting this up. The looseness of the joints in the ankles, that is a real problem with this piece, simply because it's a freestanding piece on this base, which is quite uneven, which can cause some issues. Getting this guy to freestand is difficult. So that may be down to age, but I'm going to have to mark that down a little bit because of the loose joints on the ankles. Also the wrists as well. Another thing that came out of swapping these wrist joints out with those long pegs, they snap very, very easily, and we've already lost one hand to a broken wrist peg. So yeah, the stiffness of the arms combined with those super long wrist pegs, they break exceptionally easily, so I will watch out for that. And unfortunately, it's not the ideal solution. They could have used shorter ones. When you actually look at the way that the arms are configured and the hands are configured, they could have used shorter ones. Longer ones are more prone to break, especially when you're dynamically posing a limb. So yeah, that's perhaps a point deducted for that, and a point deducted for this little guy, because the only thing holding him into this little smoke effect is friction, and this guy just, you just so much as look at him and he falls over, and it's a real precarious balancing act getting that guy to stay up. But ironically, it's not something I'll be using in the display anyway. Sorry Cactar, but you've been relegated. But overall, yeah, bar those minor niggles, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe a 9 on a good day. Just a few things let it down. They are minor things that you can work with, but on the whole, a stunning piece. And if you're a fan of Final Fantasy or a fan of Final Fantasy VII, the remake, then a great piece to have in your collection. I know there was a recent release from, and I forget who did it, but it was a Cloud Strife from Advent Children. That's out there as well, and hopefully we might be able to get our hands on that at some point. But yeah, as a representation of Cloud Strife in FF7, then I think this is a really, really stunning piece. Really happy to have it in the collection. It's a bit of a showstopper. It most certainly will draw a lot of attention. Like I said, if you're a fan of the movies, of the games, then you could do far worse than have this in your collection. So there you have it. I hope this review's been useful for you. We would have him on the turntable at the moment, but I fear the turntable would just give up the ghost forever, the sheer bulk of this thing. But we'll get a closer look at all the details in the showcase. So all it remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching, and a massive thank you to everyone who supported the channel. What's coming up on the channel? Well, in the not too distant future, we've got the In Art Batman. That's coming up. The Caustic Plastic Horror of Dracula Deluxe Edition. That's on its way to us. We're going to be taking a first dive into SW toys and Ethan Hunt, aka Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible. Premiere Toys Doof Warrior from Mad Max Fury Road. That's on its way to us, hopefully, relatively soon. We've got the companion piece to the Gurney Halleck, the Org Toys Duke Leto from June. That's coming in pretty soon. Present toys, a raft of present toy stuff. I won't even begin to list that. We'll be doing more of the NECA 12 scale stuff as well. We've got quarter scale statues coming in, probably most notably the Prime 1 and Blitzway Paul Atreides. That'll be here pretty soon as well. So yeah, a vast amount of stuff on the horizon. So yeah, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing anything. And as well, starting next week, we are going to be replacing our quarterly collection room tour videos, which, to be honest with you, were incredibly long and quite difficult to shoot, especially around music copyright issues and so on. So we're going to break them down a little bit. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing shorter showcases of specific characters, specific genres, specific manufacturers, rather than, as I say, a 2-hour epic full collection room tour update. We'll be kicking the whole thing off next week with a all things Batman showcase. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of that idea? Rather than having one huge showcase maybe every quarter, if we do more regular sort of spotlight showcases of genres, do you think that's something that would work? Is that something that you'd be up for? Please pop a comment in the comment section below and let me know. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is thank you for watching, take care of yourselves, and as always, it's over to the showcase.